Amazing Women Speak podcast, inspiring and motivating every Black woman to own, honor, and execute her amazing, individually and collectively, as it was established at birth.
Good evening, and happy Sunday. I'm Crystal L. Gunn, and welcome to another episode of Amazing Women Speak. While you're getting settled in for the show, you know the drill. Hit the share button and share Amazing Women Speak so your friends and followers can get in on this conversation. So May is Lupus Awareness Month, and today we will be having an inspiring conversation with two dope and dynamic lupus warriors. So let's just get straight to it. Michele, welcome, dear. Thank you. As I say always, for saying yes to Amazing Women Speak. Thank you for sharing your amazing with the world and curating these incredible conversations the way that only you could do. So thank you.
My friend. Thank you. Good evening. It is a pleasure always to share space with you, having these conversations with amazing women. And tonight, a topic that is near and dear to my heart, living with lupus, and being able to have this conversation today is going to be amazing because our guest is the epitome of what a warrior is. And because the conversation is long and time is short, we're going to get right into this and bring Christina in to introduce herself.
Hello, everyone. Christina Hayes here. I am a mother, a lupus warrior, advocate for lupus warriors. I am a community organizer. I am a gate agent for Delta Airlines. I wear so many hats, but I am just glad to be here with you amazing ladies. It's been 2 years, Crystal said, so I'm just happy to be here.
Yes, we are excited to have you, and especially this month, to have this conversation. And when I think about warrior, Christina, of all the lupus folks that I know, your name always comes to my mind. You really are the epitome of what it means to be a survivor, to be a thriver. And so Facebook, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you're joining us tonight, I invite you to be a part of this conversation. Drop your comments, drop your questions in the chat. We would love to make you a part of tonight's conversation where we get to spend time with Christina talking about day in the life of a lupus warrior. I want to ask you, because I often have my own reactions, what does it mean to wear that title?
Lupus warrior. And a lot of people ask me that too, like, what is a lupus warrior? Why do you say lupus warrior? And I define it as a person that's been given a diagnosis of lupus, which is a chronic autoimmune disease that causes your body to basically have an immune system that fights itself, goes against itself, and is hyperactive. But it's given that diagnosis and dealing with it and just not allowing it to take over your life, or accepting it and believing that, you know, you can cure yourself or that you can still thrive in life in spite of being told that this is what is going on within your body. Like, refusing to be defeated is what I call a lupus warrior. A person that's definitely not letting the diagnosis of lupus get them down.
And so what does it feel like to have to carry that title, right? Because for me, there's some days that I just want to be Michele, right? Like, I don't want to have to carry the banner of having lupus or being a lupus warrior. Like, what does that feel like for you?
Yeah, some days it's like they call me the strong friend, or people say you so strong, and I don't want to be the strong friend.
Right,
like, I don't want to be strong. I want to lay in the bed and just curl up and cry all day. And some days I do, you know, or I just want to cry, or it's just overwhelming, or people feel like you can handle more than you really can, or because it's an invisible disease, people can't see or tell when you're hurting. So it's even harder, and you're really trying to mask what's going on and be stronger than you really are. It's a constant it's a constant character change. It is like wearing a mask, basically, of being a strong person when there's so much going on your body on the inside that people can't see of what's, really happening to you.
Yeah, right. Like I want folks to know this is not an either or. It's a both and. Yes, I'm strong because it is who I am. And I don't want to be defined that way so much that I don't get to go somewhere and be less than strong. And so please know that we don't want to wear just one hat when we think about what it is to be a survivor or a thriver. We too have bad days. And because, like you said, this is a diagnosis that you can't often see, right? And we're going to talk about your journey, which is just a powerful story before we even get to advocacy, right? It is something that you do so very well. I remember after having surgery, I get this knock at my door. I watch Christina's story always, right? And she was going through her own battle in that moment. And I'm laid up in my house after having surgery. Like I had not been out of my house for over 3 weeks. And I get this knock at my door. And she delivered a package that was about me. For a person who, so we're going to get to your advocacy. I still have my butterfly and I keep it close because it reminds me of the work that you do on advocacy. But I want to talk about your story, because when we talk about the invisible, much of what you've gone through the last year and a half has been very visible.
Lord.
Very visible. So for as much as you want to share or are willing to share with our listeners, I want to talk about the early days before we started the count of you being at U of M, right? Like going into that. Talk to us about your journey. And then I want to then move into what is it like a day now? I didn't mean normal. Like what is the day in a life now after coming through that?
Oh yeah, sure. So I can try to make a quick, short story for you all, but just the beginning of my journey and having the diagnosis, I was a very lively person, very active. I was in college, living my best life with my friends, and I was very involved. I was a freshman year counselor, like counseling all the freshmen and showing everybody how to get involved in all the activities. A lot of my friends were on the dance team, so I was always trying to go to the dance performances and support them, and just trying to keep up with classwork. And just like a lot of people that'll tell you they have gotten a diagnosis of lupus, I was going through having a lot of different symptoms that were really strange happening to my body that I couldn't explain. I was getting very fatigued and tired a lot. I was starting to take a lot of naps. And, when you take a nap, you're supposed to wake up and feel refreshed. But I was feeling even more tired. I started sleeping through classes. I was at Eastern Michigan University too, in my second year when all of this was happening. And I was just starting to go to my primary care doctor, letting her know, I think something is wrong with me because I'm sleeping through classes now. I need a doctor's note. And she was like, well, maybe you have the flu or maybe you're getting this little bug. And she would prescribe me medications. And then I would end up having another appointment. I went through 10 different doctor appointments with my primary care doctor, repeatedly going back with a different symptom every time. And it got to a point where I was physically weak and I couldn't even carry my own groceries into my apartment when I asked to be sent to a specialist. Like I had to advocate for myself with the doctor to say, hey, send me to a person that might be able to tell me something that you can't, because you're not figuring out what is wrong with me at this point. So that's when I got sent to U of M after like the 10th doctor appointment in my second year of college. And they sent me to U of M to a rheumatologist, which is an internal medicine doctor. And they did all these lab works and blood draws and everything. And they just called me and told me to show up at the appointment with a loved one so they could talk to me about the results that they saw in my blood work. So I was like, okay, whatever. I wasn't thinking too much about it. I took my mom with me. And that day at my doctor's appointment, they were like, what your blood work showed is a disease called mixed connective tissue disease. And it's an overlapping of 3 different diseases. But the main one of those is lupus. And that is what I am affected by the most. And they were just like, there's no cure for this. There is medicine that can help you to feel better, but just be prepared to see a lot of white coats for a while. And I was like, a lot of white coats, that meant doctors. Like, be prepared to see a lot more doctors. And I was 19 at the time. And right now I'm 36 years old. So it's been a good over 14 years dealing with the diagnosis. But I was just like, okay, I'm just, at that time, I was kind of like in a 19-year-old in an 80-year-old's body. Like, I had arthritis pains. I could barely move. I was stiff. I was fatigued. I was sleeping through the day. Everything was wrong. So I was like, okay, give me whatever medicine you got so I can at least get back to feeling okay. I wasn't feeling down or nothing. I was just like, give me the medicine. Let's go. So the medicine that they prescribed was steroids. For chronic illnesses, they prescribe immunosuppressant drugs for most people, which is steroids. So I got on the steroids, and that didn't seem to really cure things too much. It slowed it down and made me feel better at the time, but I would get really swollen. I would get really hungry. I would have my weight go up and down. My body would look really swollen too. And it was just a lot going on with that. And taking on all those medications that they were prescribing to me, it was so many. I was up to like 20 different medications a day dealing with lupus. And I'm only 19 years old. Like, that's just too much. Like, when it comes to medications and doctors, we can really cure ourselves. That's what I've come to learn in this long journey. And it's all about really what we eat too, and changing our diets and exercise and so many other things that can take the place of a lot of these different medication pills. That's for sure. I can say that. But it's been such a long road and journey. I've had over 100 hospital stays for different symptoms. But the one blessing thing that I said about myself is, like, I had never had to have like a major surgery. It would just be amounts of pain and high blood pressure and just pain issues. But just last year was when I had the big traumatic issue that happened to me. I ended up with blood clots in my system, and basically sepsis in my blood. All of this was happening at the same time. So I was in the hospital, and I just remember going in, like, I had been in the hospital like over 100 times. So I was the type of person that'll drive myself to the ER when I'm not feeling well. So I just called my mom up casually, like, another time, I'm going to the hospital, Mom. I'll call you when I get there. And but I got there, and I was having like an out-of-body experience. Like, I felt like my body was floating out of itself. And this was just, last year. And I called my mom, and I told her, like, Mom, I think I'm dying. And she said, the next thing you know, the nurse jumped on the phone, like, you need to get here now. Something is not right. Just get here now. My mom said when she got there, they said I was in a multi-organ failure. I needed to have emergency dialysis because they found the sepsis in my blood. And from that moment, I couldn't tell you too much because I ended up being in a coma for 2 weeks. And then I woke up from that coma. And I'm sorry, y'all, one moment here. And currently right now I'm doing the infusion treatment. So my infusion treatment machine is beeping.
A day in the life.
I know, right? Acknowledge. But yeah, so I woke up from that coma from that point, and my stomach was swollen, though, about the size of a 6-month pregnant person. And doctors were saying they didn't know, exactly what was going on. They knew I had the blood clots. My mom told me they had brought this big dialysis machine in the room. They were running my blood work through that. They were saying they didn't know if I was going to wake up. My family members had been there. They probably say their goodbyes to me because they said they just really didn't know if I was going to wake up, but I did. And they ended up doing a CAT scan over my stomach, and it showed where the organ failure was. The blood clots in my stomach had cut off the oxygen to part of my intestines, colon, and gallbladder. And doctors had to I had to have emergency surgery. They cut me down the middle of my stomach, and they removed When I tell people, I don't really have a digestive system now. They cut out most of my intestines, my gallbladder, and my colon. So now I have what's called short gut, and I also have an ostomy as well. So I'm a new person living with the ostomy bag, learning, what I can eat, what I can't eat. And I'm facing a problem right now where my stomach is not holding minerals the way that it should. So I currently still have a GJ tube in my stomach where I do feedings through it. And the doctors are trying to see if that is going to help me to absorb nutrients through that. And then I also do a 12-hour infusion, which I'm currently connected to now. And what people don't know, I don't mind showing, but I have like a support here. And this is where my medicine goes through. If you see that there, I don't know if you can see it there, my picture there. But yeah, I just tell people you have no idea what a lupus warrior goes through daily, but I'm on these 12-hour infusions, and I tell my doctor like it's 24 hours in a day, and she's asking for even more, like 18 hours to be connected to medication. And I'm like, am I alive or am I living, or what am I doing right now? I'm here, but am I not here? But it's a blessing to be here, and I thank God for just keeping me through that, because I died twice in that surgery that happened. Doctors came out and told my mom I had lost too much blood, and they were like, even if I make it out of the surgery, the next 7 days of me being out from surgery, they didn't know how far I would make it through that. But this journey, I had to learn how to walk again. After that, I ended up being in the hospital for 8 months in the ICU unit. The journey has just been amazing. I tell you, it's just, I don't take one day for granted anymore. And even though I have been in the hospital so many times dealing with the surgery and having to recover from that, I really understood other warriors even more and on a more passionate level. And the community work that I do to make sure people have access to paid leave, because no one should ever have to worry about taking care of their loved one versus going to work and getting a paycheck. That is even more valuable to me, because I saw my mother take off work. She was by my bedside for those 3 months. She had to sign off on everything because I was unable to talk and just out of it for medications. It was, the journey has just been truly amazing. And I just thank God I don't look like what I've been through, along with so many other people that have lupus. We are just truly blessed and amazingly made. Our bodies are truly amazingly made.
Thank you for sharing that part of your story. Getting a lot of love in the chat. Your mom has joined. So one of the questions in the chat is, what can loved ones do to be supportive of those with lupus? What helps?
Oh my goodness. I love that question. What can you do to help your loved ones? Just please be understanding for lupus warriors. It's really hard to even describe how we're feeling because we don't understand ourselves.
Correct.
So when a person is going through it, just be a listening ear. A lot of the times people are not looking for advice really, because they already are doing their best that they can to handle it. Just be there, be not sympathetic, but show empathy, show understanding. And if a person needs to get medical care, push them to do that, because a lot of lupus warriors do not want to go to the hospital or hear about going to a doctor. One thing that I do with the Christina Project is visit lupus warriors. If they have to go to the hospital, just simply go visit them in the hospital. A lot of people in the hospital do not get visitors or care there, and that is the most valuable time that people really need someone to be there, just to be a listening ear or advocate to a doctor about what you've been seeing happening to them, because maybe seeing an outside vision of what somebody's been going through can be helpful as well. But just being there, being a listening ear for what's wrong and showing that you actually care, because some people will feel like no one's hearing them, or they won't feel seen having lupus or chronic illness, and still include us. We like to be included in lively things, but just be understanding, like, hey, just make sure, hey, are you okay? While that person is there, it's all good.
Yeah, and the thing that I would add to that is a lot of patience, right? It's because it is the invisible disease, especially around that fatigue, right? Like when we are struggling, we're not being lazy. right? Like we would love to re-engage with life. So just practicing a lot of patience. And again, like Christina said, that listening piece, because each day could look different, right?
Yes.
And we talk about the cost of a good day could be 3 bad days. And so just because I was up today doesn't mean I will be tomorrow. So really practicing a lot of patience and listening because we're trying to figure it out. It's very frustrating for me one day to be able to be down in the gym and lift weights and the next day can't walk, right? Arthritis is one of those things that show up when we think about all the comorbidity that we deal with. And every time for me, when I go to the doctor, they think lupus first. And sometimes a cold is just a cold. But because they look at me as a lupus patient, all of the considerations of what else might be going on doesn't get treated. So I get another medication that may not be addressing the whole of who I am. So really partnering, really helping folks figure this thing out and practicing a ton of patience and love is really, really important. Thank you for that question, Walt.
And from what I've heard, being a support group leader for a lot of lupus warriors, like one lady was telling me, she was like, my husband does not believe that I am in the pain that I'm in.
Right.
I'm hurting so bad I couldn't really go pick up the kids from school. And I asked him to go pick up the kids from school. And he was like, no, you are fine. Go get them. Like, she was like, I wanted to cry. And then another person was like, my friends are mad at me because some days I'm doing good. And then when they invite me out to a party to go with them, I say no, or I can't go. And then I'm just left out. And I'm the friend that's frowned upon, but they really sick. They having a bad day. Yesterday was good. Like you said, yesterday was good. Yes, I was good. But the next day can be totally different. So it just takes a lot of understanding and patience. And you just got to believe a person it'd be different if we could just touch you and you could instantly feel how we feel, but we can't do that. So, you just got to understand. Yeah.
It's really a different lifestyle, right? Like I think of how many things I've RSVP'd to. Like weddings that are 3 and 4 months down the road, and that particular day comes up and I just can't do it. And so I feel guilty because, right, like there's a cost for every guest that doesn't show up. But to need to be flexible with what we're going through, again, when you can't see it, to have that village has been the most powerful thing for me when some days I can't figure it out. And it gets emotional because it's just, I'm fighting against my own body.
Yeah.
Right. And there's nothing I want to do more than to engage in the things. And just some days it's not happening. It's not happening. So 8 months in the hospital.
Yes.
You get out. And again, I thank you for sharing much of this story, even through social media. For those who may not have known you or known your story, you've been a powerful force for those of us who do watch and who do share this diagnosis that looks different, not only from person to person, but from day to day. 8 months out of the hospital. It was not long, Christina, before I heard you already talking about advocacy for others. Right? Like one thing that this thing has not done is defined the heart of who you are. So talk to us about those first days post U of M and you re-engaging or finding ways to re-engage to what was the things that you love to do. I literally teared up when I saw the picture the other day of you in your new flight uniform. Right? Like, powerful watching you take your life back. So talk to us post U of M.
Yeah, so oh my gosh, being in the hospital a long time or that long for like 8 months or almost basically a year. Whew, like I have a 10-year-old daughter, so she grew up, she had a growth spurt during that time, and she's like almost my height now. And it's like people's lives move on, even though yours stopped. Like for me, it stopped. Like I wasn't in touch with everybody and everything going on. So I tell people it feels like a twilight zone. I'm coming out and 8 months have gone by. I've never been hospitalized for so long. And I had to, once I got out of the hospital, I ended up being put into a rehabilitation center because I still wasn't so strong yet. I was still learning how to walk again, getting my strength back in my legs. I still don't have feeling in my feet. I have what's called drop foot. Still can't wiggle my toes. While I was in the hospital, I had complications from surgery with my blood flow to my feet, and my feet had went completely black, but they ended up healing, and the blood flow came back, and everything got better except for one of my toes. I had told people, like, it was really hard just trying to motivate myself and encourage me and love the new me, this new me. I'm used to being kind of the little model Christina a little bit. I like wearing my belly shirts out a little bit and, my fitted dresses and everything. And now I got this bag on me. I'm trying to learn about what am I supposed to do? I'm just learning to love myself all over again, and seeing a tube in my stomach make me feel like Frankenstein. Like, oh, y'all want me to do what? You want me to feed myself to a tube? It's just like so much is so new, but just being blessed to know that, I survived a surgery that most people die from. The result from the surgery I had and what happened to me, the result should have been death. So it just makes me just grateful every day. You look at everything completely different, and just knowing the medications that I have to take on a daily. And I feel like I'm so fragile. I'm a fragile person now, because it's just like I have to get my nurse visits every 2 weeks. A nurse comes to my house now. Physical therapy comes to my house as well once a week. Just rebuilding life, and just everybody tells me I'm so strong, or I'm that testimonial person. And I've talked to a therapist, and the therapist, she sounded like me. She was like, Christina, I just, won a battle with cancer, and I've been giving these inspirational speeches, and I've been an inspiration to people. But when I get home, I'm not okay. And she was like, what I had to realize was that it's really okay not to be okay. And I was like, whoa, you sound like me. Like, who does a strong person talk to when they're not strong? And you see people carrying, being such an inspiration, but it's kind of like feeling like Jesus, and you're carrying a cross with all these thorns in them, and everybody watching you, and you're so strong, but you really, it's a lot on the other side. So it's a lot on the daily. I have moments where I cry, and some days are hard, and some days I don't even talk about. Like just the other day, I had a incident at the mall where I kind of almost passed out and had to go to the hospital again. But like, I'm okay, but I'm not okay. I still have times where I have to realize, like, I've been through some stuff. Like, sometimes we got to tell ourselves, slow down, sit down, take time out. But like you said, and you saw the picture, everybody follows me on social media. I've been back to work. I am a paid leave organizer. So I do a lot of policy work around paid leave. Because, I connected with the organization. It's called Mothering Justice, and it looks to uplift and encourage other women of color to get involved in the policy-making process, because there's so many policies being made for us without us being involved in it. And our elected officials, they need to know our stories. Like, hey, I'm Christina here. I am a lupus warrior. I am a survivor. Hey, I just died twice in surgery last year, and I am still here. I am still fighting. I know what it looks like to have a loved one take a day off work and need to have access to paid leave. So I'm telling people there's the power in storytelling, and oh gosh, there's just so much to just being alive and still thriving, as you call it.
So tell us about your victories with the paid leave.
Oh, so our victories, for one, with Mothering Justice, we did win paid sick time for Michigan workers, which is wonderful. Paid sick time is a shorter version of paid leave. You get to be able to take a few days off, like if you catch a cold, or if you have a little simple virus and you need a few days off. So everyone does have access to paid sick time. But the only thing is that we do have a court issue right now with the law because our Michigan legislature had gutted that law and it left out over 40% of workers. So 40% of workers will gain paid sick time if we get our winning judgment, which should be soon. We're hoping sometime this summer we'll have the judgment for that and more workers will have access to paid sick time. Now we have a champion in State Senator Erica Geis. She is such an awesome, amazing Black woman. She is also a mama herself, and her daughter is battling cancer. And she recently invited me to the State of the State, but she couldn't even come because her daughter was having some symptoms from chemotherapy. So she knows what it's like to be behind someone who is battling a chronic illness and needing paid time off. And we worked with her for like 8 months last year, and we came up with a new paid leave bill, and it's for up to 15 weeks off. And we've included so many different reasons of why you can use it. Like if anyone is battling domestic violence and needs to get away, you can use the paid leave for that. If you have a loved one in the hospital and you need to be by their side, you can take it for that. And then we also brought in the family definition because we know that's changed a lot.
Correct.
You don't have to be related by blood to take the paid leave because now we got different people that are our family members taking care of us. And we thought that point was very important to include in the law. And what I learned from working on the bill was that we were going back and forth with the bill drafter line by line. It was like over 100 plus lines that we had to go over. The specifics of everything is so important to make sure that everyone is included and that nobody can be gutted out of having access to this leave. So right now we're hoping that our House representatives are gonna, follow suit with us. The state senators are all with us, but it's the House side that we're working on. We have Representative Helena Scott that's on our side as well. She says she's gonna help us move it through the House of Representatives, but we need both of those, the Senate and the House, to come together to hopefully pass the bill. So we're waiting on our day to have a hearing for it, but we're hoping that with Michigan's government being the blue state, we're hoping that we'll be able to get that bill pushed through because paid leave is so important and it shouldn't only be considered when there's COVID around. When COVID came up, it was like, boom, everybody had paid leave. Everybody stay home if you don't feel good. Don't go out spreading no germs. But COVID went away and they said nobody else needs paid leave. People are still getting sick on the daily. People still need to stay home and not pass their cooties around on a daily. So it's like paid leave is important. Paid leave saves lives, literally. Some people what I've heard is they won't even go get a surgery because they don't have the time off yet. And then they wait too long where their health issue becomes really bad. And because they didn't have access to paid leave, they got worse. So we hear there's so many stories around not having access to paid leave. And it's so important to me because I've witnessed needing it myself and then seeing your own parent have to go through that. And when I was in ICU for that 8 months, we met so many different people. And I said, when I got out that hospital, I'm like, I'm taking all y'all stories with me. It was a pastor that kept praying for me in my room every day. And he was like, he couldn't even go home and go to sleep because he was at the ICU all day with his wife, missed work. He said when he got to the church where he was pastoring at, he didn't have no energy. He said he stood up there at his totem pole and everybody was just like, they just went around the church, went around him and circled around him and just prayed for him. They knew what he was going through. Like, I was like, that was so powerful. Like you just, yeah.
On behalf of every single mother, we thank you for the work that you do in that space, especially getting included fictive kin. In the Black community, we all have grandma across the street who is no relation to me, but is just as important to me, raised me, right? How we define family in the Black community is not the traditional. And so the idea that gets included in that conversation is powerful. It allows us to be able to lean on it in other spaces that we're trying to get fictive kin acknowledged. In the child welfare space, we're also trying to, and so how having that in more and more spaces gives us more leverage to really understand how important it is for us to pay attention to how we define family in the Black community. Thank you so much again for the work
Yes.
you do.
Christina, when you talk about policy, how
Yes.
can everyone that's listening help with that to get those bills passed? Like, what is it that we can do to support you in that?
Thank you for asking. Look, so you can get involved with any community organization. There are so many different community organizations that are out there. If you Google, just jump on Google, a policy organization. Mothering Justice is one powerful organization. We have a lot of we call them mama members, mama this. We host mama universities where it's a paid stipend program, 6 months long. You get to learn. It's every Tuesday night. You learn about different policy making ways, how you can organize, how you can get more involved. We have so many different events. We have a huge Mama's March that is happening, actually happened on Tuesday, May 7th from 9 to 1 in Lansing, where we go and we do lobby days. We do a lot of different lobby days throughout the year. But we actually go and we talk to our state senators. We actually train people on how you're able to talk to elected officials, because some people don't know, like, dang, how do I even approach a person that's in office, or what do we say? So we go over all those tips. We help you feel comfortable. I am actually responsible for building a speakers bureau for paid leave with Mothering Justice, and that's what I'm currently working on now. So I am looking for ladies who have, if you have a story around paid leave and you would like to share that, you would like training on how you effectively share it, because sometimes people know how to share their story, but trust me, y'all, I've been trained on how to share my story. When I got with Mothering Justice, they were like, if you only have 30 seconds to share your story, or if you got a minute, or if you got 20 minutes, we're gonna make sure you're ready to give it. So I've got my elevator pitch going. We help women learn how to do that. It's so much training that we offer at Mothering Justice. So please, I'll put my information for anyone to reach out to me. I am looking and just really would love to hear people's stories, because we are elevating that at Mothering Justice. At Mothering Justice, we always say that you are the expert based off your lived experiences. So you are the one going through the different daily life things. And there are so many different policies out there that can be made or changed to help you. Like paid leave is a thing that can help you if you're sick. But at Mothering Justice, we also look at affordable childcare as a thing that we need to thrive in life. We look at maternal health, because Black women are dying at a major rate just giving childbirth, and having reproductive justice is very important. That's another thing that we work on. There are multiple things. It's not just paid leave, but there are so many things that you can be a voice for, you can be an advocate for, and actually, talk to your elected officials or write them, or even go to rallies and protests, because when our faces are seen by our elected officials, they hear us, they see us. We make sure of that, and there's a way to be effective with it. And just connecting with any community organization, Mothering Justice, top notch. Vote for them for you to reach out to. But there are so many different orgs that I've partnered with as well that can also help. So just definitely get involved. That's how I started. I got involved just by sharing my story. And I've been in the New York Times and Time Magazine. I've flown to so many different places I never thought I'd been, and talked to so many different people. So there is power in sharing your story. So become a storyteller, share your story, and maybe be on the speakers bureau with me. So definitely hit me up if you would like to be a part of that. It's going to be it's a paid speaking engagement, and we will train you on how to effectively share your paid leave story, so you can help us with change in policies, laws, and legislation.
I love it.
Love it.
Another reminder, right, that God will make room for your gifts right where you are, right?
Yeah.
Like, to do the work that you do, considering what you're going through, God will make a way to use your gifts right where you are. And so I thank you for that. Many, many years ago, in my household, my husband coined lupus is a team sport. Let's talk about and celebrate your team, right? Like, we learned a little bit of it through social media. We watched your daughter's father come cut your hair. We watched your mother, right? Like, relentlessly sitting at your bedside,
Yeah.
Talk to us about your team and how they've been so supportive to you through this process every day.
Yes. So man, so like I love how your husband said lupus is a team sport. Because one thing I'll say for sure, anyone battling lupus is not battling it alone. It's a family thing. Everybody around you is fighting with you, for you. If they care about you, they are all in the fight with you. From my friends to my family, I am truly blessed with my village. My mom, I don't know what I would do without her. I tell people I've never experienced an anxiety attack before until my last 8-month hospital stay. And my mom, whenever she was there, I tell people she has this like magical mom power. Whenever something's wrong, she just knows. Like just the other day, like I just got sick for a moment, threw up, and the next thing my phone rang. And I'm like, oh, it's my mom. Like, how does she do that? Like she knows, and she just has this amazing spirit. I think God has blessed her with like this angelic type of some angel type thing she has over her, because she has an abundance amount of strength. Like she was, taking care of my nephews at home. And I tell people that our caregivers have more than one hat that they're wearing. They got like my mom taking care of the boys. Then she got her husband at home. Then she got her job calling her. And then she got my other sisters calling her. It's not just me that she has to be there for, but she was just showing up. And I couldn't even eat for the 6 months. She was making me this chicken broth because all I could have was liquids, and just fixing that for me. And then, she even learned how to change my little ostomy bag with me and just was making me feel comfortable. And then when I got out the hospital, they were saying that they were going to send me to a nursing home. And she was like, no, Chris is moving with us, and moved me into her house. Even though I had my own house, she was like, I'm moving you with us, Chris. So my mom and then her husband, my stepdad, he had to learn how to help me take my medication when I got out the hospital. So that was amazing seeing that. And then my nephews, if I needed a water, they're like, Auntie Chris, you need a water, just doing anything they could. I couldn't lift nothing. So they would be, lifting my laundry for me. And then with the Christina Project, it's a project that I have, and this aim to uplift and inspire lupus warriors. So previously, before my hospital stay, I was always going to hospitals visiting lupus warriors. I would surprise them with gift bags, flowers, balloons. And then like Michele mentioned, I had like over 45 thread art Nigerian butterflies made, and I had them shipped all the way from Africa, from Nigeria. And they are gorgeous. They are unique.
Gorgeous.
Yeah, whenever you look at them, my goal was for ordering that is whenever you look at that butterfly, is just to feel like you are transforming, that you are beautiful, that you are uniquely made, that you just feel uplifted. And I think everyone who had received one of those really felt that. And the crazy thing that ended up happening, all those lupus warriors that I went to visit, I even forgot about some lupus warriors that I went to visit. They all came and visited me. They all poured that. The love was just so overwhelming. Y'all should see the boxes and boxes of gifts and stuffed animals. It looked like my house looked like I just moved back in or something when I got out there, because the love and the gifts that people were pouring back into me. Just know that whenever you do something for somebody else, that love and them blessings are going to come back to you. I never wanted that. I never expected that, but I didn't know that I was going to need that love back to me. And I'm just beyond blessed, just beyond blessed with my village. So grateful.
And what a village it is. Talk to us a little bit about this journey and your daughter.
Oh goodness, my daughter. So I was been doing the Christina Project since my daughter was like 3 years old. So she would always go to hospitals with me, and I would explain to her like, yeah, we're taking these balloons or we're taking these flowers to help so-and-so feel better. And, so she's been in the hospitals before. She's known what it's like to go see somebody that's sick and try to make them feel better. But for me, when I was in there, I had a tube up my nose and I was just doing real bad. I was connected to like 20 different medications. Like my mom called it a Christmas tree of IV poles around me. I didn't want her to see me like that. And like for weeks, I was telling my mom, I don't want her to see me like this. I hadn't seen my daughter while I was in the hospital, but I was like, I don't want her to see me. I don't want her to see me. Mother's Day was coming up, and my mom was like, just see her, Chris. She just wants to see you. That's all. My daughter came to that hospital. She was the strongest little soldier, I tell you. She like nothing was eating wrong. She's like, hey, mom. She wrote me a card, like, and she was feeding me. All I could eat was like ice chips. She was feeding me ice chips, and she wrote on my little whiteboard in the hospital room, do not give up. And she is my major motivation. She is my miracle child. I wasn't even supposed to be able to have a child in this whole lupus journey, and she was my miracle little one. And her dad is amazing. He helps her to keep her faith on a million. They were going to church, and he was telling, keeping her, knowing that mommy was going to be okay. And the sad part was in the hospital, everybody was like, your mom's raising your daughter, she's doing good. I'm like, no, she has a father. Okay, shout out to him. Thank God. Hallelujah. But he kept her strong, and we had to do co-parenting while I'm in the hospital. She came into womanhood while I was in the hospital. I'm like, I'm just missing everything, but I was just blessed that my mom, kept bringing her up there to see me. And I was even in there on her 10th birthday. She came with her balloons after her skate party because I was sad I couldn't be there. But she came, and we took pictures outside the hospital, and she is my light. Like, she, now I use a walker or a walking stick to walk because I'm still a little wobbly, even though I'm still getting my walk on. She just watches me and knows that, she knows what I do behind the scenes for paid leave. She sees me on the daily. She knows my real struggles. She's my why. She is my real why to just keep pushing. I wanted to get better for her. I wanted to get back to motherhood, being a mom to her. And I just went to her spring concert last week, and I had a tear moment because I just thought of all the moments that I had missed all this time, and what I could have been still missing if I wasn't here. So she's just my blessing. She's my why. She makes me want to be the super mom I am.
So, Christina, when you're by yourself and it's just you and God, what do you pray for?
What do I pray for?
Great question.
That's a great question. I pray for sanity. I pray for understanding, because a lot of times I question God, why me? And I have to know it's why not me. I made it. I went through what I went through because I could make it through what I went through. I just pray that other people, no one ever has to feel what I ever had to. I pray for a cure for all chronic illnesses. And I just pray for making it through one day at a time, because every day is a real struggle. I tell people some days are hard and some days are harder, because that's really what it's been like lately. But I just my prayers with God are real. We real homies at this point, because he really hears me like on the real. He knows the real Christina now. I'm like, Lord, I don't know how I'm gonna make it, but you don't know where the strength is gonna come from every day. But yeah, me and God are a real one-on-one these days.
It's so incredible that through this entire podcast, and as you tell the story, the good bits of it, the not so good bits of it, you do it with this incredible smile. Like, how is that? How did you get there?
I tell people, once you got to go to the most darkest place. Like I said, I've been in the hospital so many times. It got to one time in the hospital where I really, really was just going to give up. Like, I seen no light in the dark place, but I found like a God voice came to me, like, Christina, you can make it. And there was so many other people praying for me. The power of prayer was mad real on them times I wanted to give up in those dark places. I tell people, you have to have gone to a dark place to know how to get to the light and stay in the light. And also to even help anybody else that's in a dark place, you had to been there before and show them the way out as well. You can't help somebody if you ain't never been there, or if you ain't never felt what it felt like. So, just to be able to smile, it's been a lot of tears, and it's still some tears. It's not always just all smiles. It's some cries in there. It's some I need a hug days. It's some I don't know how I'm gonna do it days, but just the good days definitely outweigh the bad for sure. So that's how I'm able to smile, and just having so many wonderful people in my life encouraging me on a daily. It just means the encouragement and the prayers just mean more than anybody can ever imagine.
It's
What a
absolutely
story,
amazing.
right? What a story. Thank you for sharing with our listeners your story. You remind us that hope and faith is a thing. Um, you remind us that even in the space that we're in, there's still a work to be done.
Yes.
How can people get a hold of you if they want to learn more, if they want to get involved in the many works that you do? How can folks find you?
Well, one I do have it's called the Christina Project on Facebook. You can message me through there, or also on Instagram. It's the Christina Project there as well. I jump in my DMs there, or my phone number is also public as well. You can call me. I tell people call me anytime, because that is how a lot of people have found me for the Christina Project, just by word of mouth. People say, "Hey, it's this girl who can relate to you. She says she shows up for your loved one in the hospital when they need somebody to uplift them. I'm the one. I'm the one. Yes, call me, and I will. I do show up." So, just definitely call me. I'll drop my phone number for everybody to have, or if you want to take it out, 248-277-0181. And I'll make sure that Crystal gets that and can spread that to everyone as well. But I'm an open book. Feel free to reach out, and I'm always open to sharing information and resources. I have a ton of resources for people battling chronic illnesses and everything.
Miss James, you have raised an incredible human being, and we are so very grateful for the gift that she gives this world. Again, you remind us that hope and faith are the cornerstones, are the foundation that can get us through whatever it is that we're going through. And I've never been one to talk about comparisons, because everybody's story is their story, everybody's lived experience is theirs. And yet, there's still that piece, right? That as we look at others, it reminds us of what is still possible right from the place that we sit. And the dark days are dark and they are hard. And there is light on the other side of that. It's about the attitude that you bring to it, and really being able to be vulnerable with those that will allow you to do that, knowing that your goal is to find that inner strength and to be able to live out the very best life that God has designed for you. And you do that so very well. Thank you, Christina.
Thank you for having me.
We love you to life.
Love you too, Mom.
Right?
This has been, I don't know, one of the most inspiring conversations I believe that we've had. Because at any moment you could say, you know what, I'm dealing with my own thing, and I'm not going to do this advocacy work. I'm not going to try to uplift anybody else. And I think that would be very understandable.
Mm-hmm.
I fell into that for a quick second. I jumped out of it though.
And the world thanks you for that jump.
Absolutely, absolutely. No, there's not even enough words to say or to get people to understand. I think just how dope and dynamic you are. Like just really what you give and what you do for others, and how you share your story in an effort to encourage others with whatever the thing is that someone else is going through, right? I just think it's just dynamic, and I appreciate you. I celebrate you, and I honor you in that. I'm so glad that you said yes to joining us again.
Of course, with you amazing ladies, why not? Thank you for all that you all do too.
So as we wrap this up, what's the message you want to leave with folks?
Just to know that you are a blessing. Every day above ground is a time to make memories with your loved ones. Never take a day for granted. Know that you are blessed and always see the beauty. No matter what darkness comes over you, always find the light. Always find the light.
I want to read these last two comments in the chat. One of them from your mother. Thank you. To God be the glory for her story. Christina Hayes is an inspiration to our family. Phyllis says, your gift is truly a blessing to others. May God continue overflowing with love. Your story is amazing.
Thank you.
Antoinette, not only is she an inspiration to your family, she is an inspiration to us all. Like, just your walk is inspiring. You just are incredible. I watched the both of you go through life with this thing called lupus, and you're still able to love on and to shine and to give so much to other people. So thank you both for what you do because of and in spite of. I thank you so much. I am Crystal Gunn. I am a Black woman and I own my amazing. Michele?
Thank you for making space for this conversation. Our stories don't get told enough, right? Because of this silent diagnosis that we call lupus, and we don't look like what we're going through. Folks don't often understand what it is that we carry. So, as we acknowledge Lupus Awareness Month, get to know a little bit more, read up on it, and then start having some conversations with folks that you are learning are impacted at different places in their journey, and really allow space, like Christina said, for folks to just tell their story. There's so much power and so much healing in that for us. And so we have so much gratitude to know that somebody cares enough to want to know more about this disease and its impact and its invisibility, and what does it mean to still show up in spite of that. So thank you, Crystal, for the obedience that God has put on your life to create this platform for us to share stories, and all the more this month where we get to tell a little bit about our stories. Christina, thank you again for your vulnerability and your boldness and your will to keep saying yes to the assignment that God has put on your life. I'm grateful to be here tonight. I'm grateful to have gotten to share a little bit about my journey with lupus. I am Michele Harper. I am a Black woman. And without apology, I will continue to own my amazing. Christina.
Yes, I am so blessed and grateful for the invite to be here with you all. But I am Christina. I am a Black woman, and I will forever own my amazing.
Yes, you will. Yes, you do. And it looks really great on both of you. Thank you so much. Please find Amazing Women Speak on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, LinkedIn, and Spotify. So, whatever your favorite platform, please subscribe and then go through the episodes. Find one that speaks to your soul. I'm sure you will find many. And then do me a favor and share it with somebody else. Be a blessing. We do great work here. We have great conversations. I think we do what it is we cut out to do, to inspire and encourage and motivate every Black woman to own, honor, and execute her amazing individually and collectively as it was established at birth. So thank you all for joining us. Thank you for those who tune in each week. The comments have been on fire today. And I know why. Like,
Right.
both of you are absolutely incredible and amazing. We will not be here next week because it is Mother's Day. So happy Mother's Day to each and every one of you out there that are listening. But we will be back on May 19th. with another inspiring episode. So thank you all again, and we'll see you on the 19th.